So I guess I can start. Thank you, Leila, for actually inviting me to this meeting. Thanks everybody for coming and taking care of your recovery. My name is Ilona. I am a compulsive eater. I'm gonna switch to Bulgarian and do my mantra in my native language, although it feels like I want to do it in English, but yeah, I'll do it in Bulgarian as well. Мери си 3 пъти храненията на ден от списъка с храни GreySheet. Предавам ги на спонсора си да ям нищо между тях и абстиненцията и виждаме сила са най-важното нещо в живота ми, защото без това нямам живот. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you. Of course, I will start, the usual, what it was like, the usual, what it was like, what happened, and what it is like now. Just to mention my abstinence date, 14th of December, 2014, which means I've been 9 years and something abstinent. By the grace of God and the power of the steps in this community. I'm so grateful, as I've already mentioned. So, I remember my first mental obsession with food and eating at the age of 7. I remember being overexcited around eating. And at that time, I wouldn't say that I had the physical manifestation of the disease, but I would definitely be super elated when the time for eating was about to come, and quite a lot prior actually to that. I couldn't share much of my excitement with anyone else actually, except for my mom, who I don't think, I don't think she found anything wrong with that, to be honest. And then at the age of 9, I started I started gaining weight, and I was out of a sudden, for maybe a couple of months, I gained a lot of weight, and I was the only, one of the heaviest girls in class, which threw me into a severe depression, feeling even more alienated than I had been feeling anyway. I started dieting just because that's what I thought, I was supposed to do at the age of 9. Like, that's, it sounds ridiculous now, as I hear myself, restricting under no supervision, and just self-willingly, just decided, okay, I'm gonna diet, just this is how they do it, teenagers, adolescents, young adults, maybe I could do it too, right? And I would try something, but of course, anything that I had done in terms of dieting, I would overcompensate, and I would do yo-yo a lot of times, maybe a couple of times within 10 years. So I remember when we would gather, my family, and friends, I was the one that would always get a comment around her. Not always, but often. Okay, would often get a comment around her eating. My father would say something like, "Oh, you should slow down. Do you really want to eat that whole thing?" My granny would say, "You've got a sweet tooth," and my cousin would be, of course, more cruel. He was, a teenager, and you're a pigster, you're a pig, da, da, da. And I was like, I wasn't feeling okay, as you can imagine, but for some reason I couldn't relate, that I was really powerless over my eating. I sensed it in a way, but I couldn't articulate it. I couldn't define it. I've had thousands of instances, thousands literally, when I would just try to stop and I wouldn't be able to, right? So because this is my disease, once I pick that piece of that first bite, right? um, and of course it would be like high sugary, high carbs, whatever bite, and I would never stop when I wanted to stop. And mm, I would, as I said, I would do restriction, so much so that I got diagnosed with anorexia in 2011. And I decided to start attending a psychologist. Then she said it happens that she was a spouse. She was an AA in recovery spouse, right? And she said, you should find a 12-step program that works for you and your eating disorder. This is a progressive disease, the whole thing, it's a progressive disease. She truly believed in that, and I wouldn't be able to help you long term. um you should find your own recovery in 12 steps. And it took me a while to really find GreySheet, or for GreySheet to find me. I first started doing something like OA, but it didn't work very well for me. For a couple of weeks I was trying to actually, GreySheet for me is really, as they say, the last resort. I mean, like, I didn't want GreySheet. No, 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 no. I didn't want GreySheet. It came to my life and I was like, that's too, restrictive. These people are trying to kill me. No, that, no, this, no. I mean, like, no, there's no, carbs or whatever. There are carbs. I mean, like, my veggies, my fruits. I mean, like, I didn't know that, at the time. I didn't know that the amounts of vegetables and fruits that I eat are enough. But anyway, so that was so funny. And yes, I was trying actually to avoid getting into GreySheet, because I thought, a better solution was out there for me. Well, it turned out that there wasn't a better solution for me. The disease progressed quite a lot. I mean, like, because after my anorexia, I started vomiting. I mean, like, binging and vomiting. And then there was a time where I couldn't actually, I mean, like, that time came when I just couldn't eat a meal without throwing it up. I mean, like, if it wasn't a GreySheet committed meal. I just wanted to say that, because for me, the thing of weighing and measuring without committing doesn't work, right? It doesn't. I've tried that too. I've tried, committing, adding some protein, anything, that my disease would suggest. I would listen to it for some time until I got broke, like, totally. I went spiritually, physically, emotionally, whatever, bankrupt. And I was like, okay, just for today, just for today, just do those 3 meals. My life was a mess. I had stopped working. I had stopped going to university. By the way, I graduated maybe a year later. That, I mean, like, done. I was supposed to. Basically, everything was a mess. I mean, like, just do those 3 meals. My paranoia was just very, I mean, like, I was just like, I was a mess. I was just really, it was either you die, or you just do this just for today. And yeah, at the beginning it was very difficult, actually. I mean, like, the food, I mean, like, the days added up, slowly. And that was kind of okay, but then the feelings came. you know and there was a time when I really hated myself, like, so much. Even I was thinking, like, even the step work wasn't working well for me. But I guess there was just, like, I don't think that's true, actually. I guess it was like there was some sort of, like, how to say, time to heal. I had to grieve. I had to grieve my mom's death, which I hadn't, because I had eat I had been eating so much. She died when I was 13, right? And I wasn't abstinent then. I wasn't abstinent 10 years later. right? I was abstinent. I got abstinent maybe 11 or something years later. And then at some point I started out of a sudden, I started grieving my mom's death. And I was like, just sobbing and crying and what is going on, you know? And I'm like, oh, Ilona, you're abstinent, you know.
5 minutes left.
Thank you so much. So, you know, these things are coming. Okay, you should better, you know, you'd better experience those, right? And I was so, I appreciated that, you know. I appreciate the fact that the abstinence allows me to feel my feelings and deal with them in a sane, in a mature way, you know. When my aunts died, you know, I was abstinent too. It was terrible, you know. That experience was terrible, you know. I couldn't sleep for days. I actually, I hadn't expect that, right? I was feeling just like stomach pain or there was something wrong. I thought, you know, but actually I was abstinent and I was like, okay, this is it, you know. That's cool, you know. You don't have to, you know, stop this, you know. You don't have to stop this. And I'm so grateful for that. I don't have much time, so I would do, you know, fast forward, you know, time to heal, right? That's important. Just give yourself time to heal, right? If you're new to the program or whatever, coming back from a relapse, whatever, I needed to grieve my food, you know, my non-abstinent foods, you know, which I had been in a toxic relationship with for years, you know. I wanted that food. It was my best, my everything, you know, my first love, you know, and everything. And I had to say goodbye to that food, you know. That was also very important to me, an important moment. And then here, when I came to Grey Sheet, of course, it's not a diet, you know. And I get my sponsors, you know, I try to make my sponsors understand that the very first day. Okay, so you do your food, okay, you know, that's fine, you know. But if you think that you're gonna do your food only, and I'm gonna be something like your, I don't know, diet guy, you know, or lady, I can't do that. Call people, you know, go into service, right? That's what I did, you know. That's what was done, you know, before me. And that's how I got Grey Sheet, right? Right, because what if, you know, there were no people serving the fellowship before that, you know, would I have found Grey Sheet? I don't think so, you know. So I'm very happy that I could be in service, right? To get to know each, you know, to get to know people better, and to work on a common purpose, which is a higher than I could possibly imagine, you know, to you know, to work for. I mean, like, it was only, you know, about me, pyramids, you know, this thing, little me, my own thing, you know. But then it's not about you. You want to only, it's about the, you know, the fellows that you still don't know and that will come to the Grey Sheet meeting in Bulgaria, for example. And it's also about those Grey Sheet fellows that are in the UK, in the USA, that will help you stay abstinent and that you could probably help stay abstinent. So I am super grateful for that. Anyone could be in, you know, in any sort of service. There are just like so many opportunities, and I encourage everyone, you know, to do so. You just sometimes I just like wake up in the morning and like, oh, sponsors, you know, after a nightmare, where am I supposed, you know, are you abstinent, Ilona? Because I sometimes have nightmares. I'm like, oof, you okay, yeah, everything's fine. It's been a nightmare. You still have your sponsors, you still have your service positions, everything's fine. So I better, you know, wrap it up by saying again, I'm super grateful for you, each one and everyone, each and every one of you. Sorry, sometimes I'm too fast, even when I'm speaking in Bulgarian. And I'm looking forward to hearing you. Thanks, no matter what.